listen to me because I'm only going to say this once. We're going on the trip now. It's going to be rough. It's going to feel like it's going on for a long time, so it's going to be hard to stay alert. It's going to be even harder to be quiet, but you have to do both. You have to do every single thing I say or we'll not make it.
Under no circumstances are you allowed to take off your blindfold. If I find that you have, I will hurt you. It's cold, we have blankets. Boy, you have your dog. Girl, you have your kitty. This is just a place. There's nothing more than we need from it. And no talking on the river. You must listen as closely as you can. If you hear something in the woods, you tell me. If you hear something in the water, you tell me. But you never, ever take your blindfold off. Do you understand? When a mysterious force decimates the population, only one thing is certain. If you see it, you die. The survivors must now avoid coming face to face with an entity that takes the form of their worst fears. Searching for hope and a new beginning, a woman and her children embark on a dangerous journey through the woods and down a river to find the one place that may offer sanctuary. To make it, they'll have to cover their eyes from the evil that chases them and complete the trip blindfolded. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we're going to be covering 2018's Bird Box, directed by Suzanne Bier.
Colin, I am considering legal action.
Why's that?
I want to sue Netflix under Section 18 of the Australian Consumer Law for misleading and deceptive conduct because there are no bird vaginas in this movie. There is no bird boxes. What's happening? What's happening to the world?
Just a bird in a box. Yeah, I first thought that you were going to say I'm suing you for emotional distress for making me watch this for your pick.
Oh boy. Guys, welcome back to Midnight Double Feature. Today we're obviously covering Bird Box, the recent Netflix phenomenon, I think, is probably the best word. Like, this is everywhere. Bird Box. So, Colin, you picked this movie. Give me your thoughts. Tell me why you picked this specific movie. And honestly, and just give me your thoughts, your overall thoughts on this movie.
Well, you know, it's funny because when I was like, hey, let's do Bird Box, I hadn't even seen it yet. Like, I just, no, I'm just kidding. I had seen it.
I was going to say, you piece of shit.
I'm going to do that one of these days. I'm going to pull the trigger on something. And like, okay, so we watch the movies while we're talking about them, just as a point of reference. It's great imagery to have. But the funny thing is, I'm going to just sit here one day and just go, oh yeah, I'm going to pick this movie and then just do it as I'm going along. And like, I haven't watched it. Fuck
it. You're going to be like, oh, okay. All right.
Wow.
So that happened.
Oh, so he is his father. That's nice. But yeah, I watched this movie. Like my girlfriend Lindsay and I watched this. She was really keen to get me to see it, and she wanted to know my opinion on it. There's a lot of cool fan theories about this. There's a lot of interesting stuff about what this movie's actually about. But all in all, it's for better or for worse, it's a push in the right direction. That's the point. I think that's the point of this, and it's not. This is a book. This is not something that this is not an original thing like Quiet Place or like Get Out or something like that. Like these other horror movies that we have coming up that have been like real testaments to like how. And we talked about this on our Get Out episode with Matthew Anderson from LSG about this new wave of like smarter horror, like good horror movies, like not. We're not watching the slasher movies anymore. We're not really watching monster movies anymore. Things have gotten a little bit more complicated. And you look at the stuff that has been bigger horror movies. Like I'd say the last really big horror movie franchise though was like Saw. Really? I mean that's the last one I could think of.
Yeah, I think Conjuring's ramping up there.
Yeah, that's true.
You got Insidious as well. Insidious is up to part 4, so.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those things have gone on for a hot minute, but yeah, it's because I feel like, even with stuff like Insidious and The Conjuring, I feel like those are like I don't want to say in the same league as we're talking about, Quiet Place and Get Out and like these more recent horror movies. They kind of have an interesting take on things. Like it all goes back to kind of like a Monsters with Rules thing, like Tremors. I love the movie Tremors. I watched that all the time as a kid. But it's like there's something going on in this town, or there's something attacking them, and it's like a specific kind of weakness or specific kind of strength that these monsters always have. And that's what I've always found really interesting in storytelling, is like, you can't overpower these things, but it has to be very just has to be such a simple thing. That being said, does this movie feel like an M. Night Shyamalan movie? Doesn't this feel so Shyamalama Ding Dong?
Absolutely, it feels very Shyamalan. Oh, dude! And by the way, I just watched Glass. Do not watch Glass.
I'm going to. Fuck you, dude. I love Unbreakable. I love Split. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go see it. I know I'm probably gonna be disappointed, and he's gonna break my heart. But like, seeing fucking seeing Bruce Willis back in it as David Dunn, I was like, dude, I at least want to see it for that, because I loved that character. I loved David Dunn, and that's back when Bruce Willis wasn't fucking clocking it in, but anyways, back to Bird Box. This movie, it's interesting. This is this is a huge step for Netflix in terms of what they're doing. I would definitely say that the Netflix films they've been making, don't get me wrong, Stranger Things has some Winona Ryder, and there's some other like higher end actors on things, but like Sandra Bullock in this movie, I was like, damn, I know she's not as hot as she was back in the day, but still, like, I was very surprised to see Sandra Bullock doing a Netflix horror movie. I was like, what? Like, what the fuck is that about? And I like Sandra Bullock. I don't have a problem with her. I really don't. Like, I've liked her in most of the things I've seen her in. But this movie was just so interesting. And I was like, and I have a bad problem of sticking to like older stuff. If anybody or listens to the show, they understand that most of my favorite movies came out before I was even born. Not to be all fucking hipsterish, but whatever. Like a lot of that stuff I love is like practical effects and smart horror of like the 80s and things like that. And it's good to get out of that sometimes, though. I've been trying to get better about going out and seeing things, and not like, oh hey, yeah, let's fucking just watch Monster Squad. I'm gonna drop that one in on every episode now. By the way. Or In the Mouth of Madness. But like, I was trying to at least see what all the buzz was about. Is this worthy of the praise that it's getting, or is it just kind of like, is it just a hot topic? Is it just a flare up? Is it really getting more praise than it's worth? So I think it's interesting too, because, we're right in the middle of, as a film podcast, we're kind of right in the middle of this weird transition of people going to the movies and people, just kind of stopping doing that, and starting all of these streaming services. And now these streaming services making their own TV shows and their own movies. And it's crazy now, buying your tickets just right there on your phone, and it's assigned seating, and it's like, holy shit, like this is so odd now. Like going to the movies is such a different thing. So I think it's at least interesting to talk about. It's a coolish movie. I don't love everything about it. It's got a cool premise, but also some kind of like wacky moments as well. And we can get into them as we get there. But for the most part, I like this movie. But it's definitely not without its problems.
Nice. So yeah, look, I do agree with you for the most part. And for those of you that listen to our upcoming attractions episodes, you guys know that for some reason, I've been avoiding this movie, and it's not really because of any one particular thing. It's not because it's like, it's in the zeitgeist right now, everyone's talking about it, and I just kind of like stayed away from it. It honestly is because I went downstairs one day, my brother was watching it, and it just looked dreary and like boring. I think for me, the biggest thing was like the color palette. Like it looks like, if you've seen the show Ozark on Netflix, it's all gray and washed out.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. A lot of blues and stuff.
Yeah, and it just didn't really appeal to me. And then like I'd heard that And this is something that I don't like doing, but it's just me as a person. I heard from both critics and audiences that the ending is unsatisfying, and I think for a movie like this, where it's like building up to something, and like, you know, there's this whole mystery element to it, I think it's really important that you kind of stick the landing. So, like, and hearing it from both critics and audiences, like, I was just like, oh, okay, so probably isn't that satisfying. But that being said, man, like, when you chose this movie, I was like, for fuck's sake. Like, look, we released an upcoming attractions episode last week where we kind of like covered all the movies that we've seen in 2018, and Matt was talking about Bird Box, and I talked about like, oh, I don't really think I'll see that movie ever. And then, like, the next day, you were like, let's do Bird Box. And I was like, fuck's sake.
That's so funny. You know, because I was like, honestly, if you'd have just been like, nah, pick something else, man. I want to just, what about this? I would have probably just been like, okay. But like, the fact that it's just the first thing I threw out, and you were like, okay, cool, I'm plugging the socials. I was like, all right, fuck it, dude, here we go.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to be like, oh, I don't like your pick, choose another one, bitch.
Oh, no, dude, I'll do that sometimes. I'm like, I can't sit through another Michael Bay movie. Can I sway you to something else?
Oh, man. But yeah, this movie, I liked it a lot better than I thought it would. A lot more than I thought it would. And it's not really the horror elements for me. It's more some of the mystery stuff. But really, Sandra Bullock, like, she carries this movie. Like, and there are some stuff that we'll get into that are a little silly, that don't really work for me. But yeah, I think Sandra Bullock's performance more than anything shines in this movie. And like, I think out of any one element, her performance is the most watchable thing here. This movie's fantastic. Like, it's got a great sort of mystery element, but I don't think that mystery element is fully fleshed out enough. Like, they do lay out the rules very early of, like, you know, what to do and things like that, but I think I would like a few more answers. I'd like a little bit more. I don't want it to be like too answery. Like, I don't want to know every single thing, but I would like a little more. Like, for example, I don't want to know what they look like. Like I'm going to read this. So in December 2001, in an interview with Bloody Disgusting, it's mentioned that the producers wanted the creatures to appear at some points, and they even designed a creature and shot a scene with one. But it was discarded, and Sandra Bullock described the creatures saying, you know, it was like a green man with a horrific baby face. That's actually online, that concept art, and it looks horrific.
Yeah, I saw that shit. I was like, dude, this looks like one of like the Horcruxes Voldemort puts himself into. Like, what the fuck? I was like, that is creepy. Like, it's like, apparently at some point it was going to be like a dream sequence where it was like her baby as like this mix of like Cthulhu monster kind of thing. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, I'm with you. I am kind of glad that they didn't show it, but at the same time, I don't know. You know, it's got its ups and its downs. You see this a lot with like Lost and M. Night Shyamalan and things like that. Like, they, like you said, sticking the landing. Like, they give you so much front loaded that it's kind of hard. They I don't know. They kind of like overpower their thrust and just don't stick the landing. I don't know what it is, but they always kind of are off just a little bit. It always seems like compromised a little bit at the end of those.
Right, exactly. And I think it's worth mentioning that this is based on a book, and neither of us have read the book, so we don't really know what happens in the book. We know that there are a few changes. I think, Colin, you're going to bring up a couple maybe later, but I don't have anything. But it's a good movie. It's certainly watchable. But yeah, I think the best element of this is Sandra Bullock and the journey that a character goes on. Like, and you know, where she begins and where she ends up. It's actually a very touching story. And I really liked it. But there are, like I said, there are a lot of problems, and not a lot, but you know, some that are really worth talking about. But it's okay. I'm you know what? I'm glad that I watched this movie. I'm glad that you made me watch this movie, because I probably wasn't going to watch it, despite like all of the social. Like, everyone is talking about this movie. Like, this is a thing.
There's challenges of it. The fucking Bird Box challenge.
Right, and I was going to read that. So the Bird Box challenge, it originated in Australia, so you're welcome, world. In Australia, Netflix originally partnered with 4 Twitch streamers in performing what they called a Bird Box challenge, in which they would play some popular video games while blindfolded. However, the challenge has since turned into a global internet meme in which participants wear blindfolds and try to do day-to-day activities. In response, Netflix released several messages over social media advising people not to undertake the challenge. Nevertheless, a 17-year-old in a blindfold taking part in the craze drove into oncoming traffic in Utah and crashed her car, prompting the police in the state to issue the same warning as Netflix. And the statement from Netflix was, can't believe I have to say this, but please do not hurt yourself with this Bird Box challenge. We don't know how this started, and we appreciate the love, but boy and girl have just one wish for 2019, and it is just that you not end up in the hospital due to memes. And that's from the Netflix US Twitter. But the original challenge was, this is a quote, Netflix is encouraging all gamers to try their hand at the Bird Box challenge, and all you'll need are the items listed above, blah, blah. The idea is that you play your favorite game and try to make it through the section blindfolded on muscle memory, communication with a friend, and your hearing. Interesting challenge, but, with the youth that it is today, I'm not surprised that this blew up into a thing.
It's like, I can't believe nobody did like a blindfolded Tide Pod challenge. Like let's see how many you can crack open and snort while you're blindfolded.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, but man, look, decent movie. Not amazing, but I really did connect with Mallory's journey and where she ended up. I really did like that. And there are some pretty damn good moments of tension. The moments of kind of like showing what this thing is capable of. I really dug that, man. It's good. Also, is this in a trilogy? Like, you got Don't Breathe, you got A Quiet Place, and then you got Bird Box.
I know, right? Like and that is one thing to Bird Box's credit. Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, what is this? Just like another ripoff of Quiet Place? It's like, actually, I mean, this is based off a book from 2014. So sorry, sorry to break it to you, but I mean, because on paper, you're like, okay, so this is just like, don't see, don't hear, don't speak. Like, is that all this is?
Yeah, I shut down one guy on Instagram. I was just like, well, technically.
I was like, sorry. I mean, we do actually somewhat look into shit sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. We do some work. With this movie, though, I wasn't expecting so much of this movie to be set immediately after the events of the breakout of the virus.
It's real quick.
Because, all of the marketing and everything that I've seen was like her and her kids running through forests and shit. So I was like, oh, okay, so it takes place quite a bit after the breakout, but I wasn't expecting them to be in the house for however long they are, and a problem that I have with the entities though is like they have no physical shape, but they can't go through like doors and walls. Like, what exactly are the rules with the entities? I don't fully understand that. Just quickly, between Don't Breathe, A Quiet Place, and Bird Box, what situation would you prefer if you were dropped into one of those situations?
Oh,
like, would you prefer not to talk, not to, or like not to see? Like, what's?
Oh, definitely not to talk, because I mean, with Quiet Place, at least, like, go live by a waterfall. You're cool. Like, you can probably talk and live normally and stuff, and at least there's like some way of defeating them. But with like Bird Box, it's like they don't know anything. There's like no weaknesses. There's only like an alert
can't
system.
Even drive.
Yeah, it's like you can't even. I mean, you can't drive. You can't look at them through an image. Like, there's like nothing, man. That's
screens,
crazy.
Yeah, man. Decent movie. What do you say we get into this bitch? Unless you have any more opening thoughts.
Let's do it.
All right. The movie opens on a river with a voice on the radio saying that the fastest way here is the river. Dude, this has actually got some pretty damn decent cinematography.
For sure.
I'm not a fan of the washed out sort of color palette, but yeah, the shots of like them over the river is awesome. And we meet Mallory telling boy and girl that they have to be alert, quiet, and not to take off their blindfolds. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty wild, man. She's just straight up like, if you take off your blindfolds, I will hurt you.
Yeah, it's like Jesus.
Okay, where are child services?
I will light 5 cigarettes and place them all between your toes and let them burn down to the filter.
Burn your skin. Yeah, yeah. If you look, you will die. So the rules are set up pretty early on, which is cool. Mallory puts their birds in the box. Oh, and you know what? It just clicked. No.
I see what you did there.
Okay, right. Okay, cool. Like, roll credits. Love the string and the rope setup. It reminds me of The Thing or The Hateful Eight, where they, have to set up the lines to see in the snow or kind of navigate their way in through the snow.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They get in the boat and Mallory starts to paddle. Again, love the cinematography, but everything looks great and whatever. Was this directed by Zack Snyder? I'm not sure.
Oh, you're so dark and gritty. You must be from the DC universe.
You must be edgy. 5 years earlier. So 5 years is a long time. Like I said, I was not expecting it to be like, damn, like this far into it, Mallory's painting and in walks Jessica, played by Sarah Paulson, who is in Glass. We were just talking about it.
She's awesome,
Mallory
dude.
to turn on the news.
Sorry to interrupt. Everything I see her in, I fucking love Sarah Paulson. She's really good.
She's great. Have you seen The People vs. OJ?
Yes, Lindsay watched that. I watched quite a bit of it with her, and she fucking killed it. She's awesome.
She nails it in that, man. She's awesome. The news says that the airport is shut down. Streets are overrun with people trying to get out of the city. Mass suicides first recorded in Romania and spreading across Europe. You know what I love, though? I love that, like, in movies, whenever a character turns the TV on, it always cuts directly to the correct part of the news. Like, it's never the weather.
Yeah, right. It's all like because it's always and it reminds me of and Shaun of the Dead when he's flipping through of the channels and he's like of people who are literally being eaten alive. But this is one thing that I kind of like. We're 5 minutes in, the world has ended. I mean the world has basically ended, like right here.
There's no fuckery. There's no fuck around. Yeah, I love it. But I wish, like, once in a movie, like, someone would turn on the TV and just be like, and we got showers up here in North Coast today, and, like, they full have to wait for the news report.
Yeah, right. There's just, like, people screaming on fire running outside, and they're just like, come on. And the winning lotto numbers are fuck's sake.
We'll be back just after these ads. Mallory conveniently mutes the TV and turns it back as the news reports show that the virus may reach the States. Like, did you notice the timing of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, that's one thing. She's such a heavy character of, like, denial, Like, I mean, she's all over it, man. And one thing that I heard, actually, that one of these, all of these clips that they're showing are obviously real from other events that have happened. But one of them, I guess, was like a terrorist attack in Canada, and people were calling out Netflix, like, hey, that's insensitive and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, dude, all of these are real events. Like, we're going to use like something like some kind of explosions and stuff. So like, I don't know. I thought I was like, I can see your point, but at the same time, it's such a small shot of just like the fire, basically. That's all. That's really all it is.
How many times do you see 9/11 in movies? Like it's always there. Like, it's like, what's the statute of limitations on that kind of stuff?
Right, exactly.
So Mallory's pain is about like the inability to connect to anybody. She's worrying about not being able to connect with the baby. It turns out Mallory's a bit of a loner, and we find out that someone named Ryan left her. At the doctor's, she doesn't want to know the gender of the baby and refers to the pregnancy as a condition. I dig this doctor, man. She's a badass.
Yeah, she is pretty funny. I like her right at the beginning. She's like, oh,
she's very direct.
She's like, let's go get something to eat, get some wine. She's like, really? Right in front of me.
Yeah. She's very direct with her. I like her. The doctor suggests putting the child up for adoption. Mallory ends up throwing up and comes across a woman she saw earlier on her phone bashing her head against the glass.
Yeah, that shit was
brutal. Fucking wild, man. Like, and then she just stares at her as she walks past.
Yeah, that's one of the most terrifying things about this is Now, I will say, like, not to just beat a dead horse, but like for real, I know you haven't seen it yet, but this is kind of a thing, like in the Mouth of Madness. Like people start,
son of a bitch,
dude. Like seriously, people start losing their minds. They start reading this book, and the same thing happens. Their eyes kind of go weird, and they start like killing people at random and doing shit like this. And I was like, whoa, this kind of reminds me of Mouth of Madness a little bit, like just a hair, like. Because it's a very similar eye effect that happens to people. Like they start crying blood and their eyes go all crazy. I was like, oh shit, okay, I can get behind this.
You're gonna make me watch that movie one day, aren't you?
Oh, of course.
All right.
Yeah, but
runs out.
I don't feel bad for that chick slamming her head into the glass because she has a fucking like, what tracksuit are you wearing? What is this? Like your mom's from like 72? Like what the fuck?
Mallory runs outside into Jessica's car, and she tells Jessica it's happening now. The thing happening in Russia. I love her. Like she's not like she doesn't waste any time wondering what's happening. She knows. Then the ambulance just smashes into a car in front of him. You know what this reminded me of? The line from Ghostbusters: "Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria."
Oh, dude, for sure. Like for one thing, Sandra Bullock and Sarah Paulson, they actually do look like sisters quite a bit. Like when you look at them side by side, I'm like, I can totally buy this. Like,
Sandra Bullock handpicked Sarah Paulson to play her sister.
Oh, sweet, that's awesome. Because like Sarah Paulson looks like that sweeter, nicer kind of sister, but I mean, Sandra Bullock looks like she could fucking be a bitch, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so this actually reminded me of a better version of The Happening. Did you see The Happening?
No, but I mean, I've heard all about it. I pretty much know.
Don't watch it.
Yeah,
don't watch it. But like the moments of like the leaves chasing them and shit, and like because The Happening opens with like a massive like suicide sequence, and this is honestly like that, but this is obviously done way better. I love the line from Sandra Bullock, Mallory. I find it comforting to focus on the wrong things. There's a massive explosion behind them. There's so much horse fucking shit. Hold your horses.
Oh, like
would she be making jokes at this time? Like maybe it's a coping mechanism. I don't know. Jessica says, "What the fuck is that?" And it was laser focused on something directly in front of her. She accelerates and swerves wildly before hitting a car. The car flips, but I love Jessica still like kind of being focused ahead of her as the car's like mid flip. Like that's pretty cool. Like it's still flipping over and she's still staring ahead of her.
Oh yeah, dude. And plus like the tears coming from her eyes are just kind of like slowly falling out. I'm like, damn, dude. And, like I love the way the eyes look. That's an awesome effect.
It looks awesome. Especially later when we meet Gary, like the guy who just infiltrates him. But yeah, Jessica crawls out and walks in front of a garbage truck.
Holy shit. And I think that's the worst part about this thing is like, I think when these people are doing it, whatever this is, you know, whether it's, you know, it's religious or biological or whatever this thing is, you know, obviously it takes you over and forces you to do something that you don't want to do. And I think that most of these people, when they start doing this, like I feel like there's a part of them in the back of their head that's like, no, wait, what? No, like what? Stop. Yeah. Like they're kind of like passengers to it. And that scares the fuck out of me, man.
For sure. Like just being a passenger in your own body. I swear okay. Yeah. So this reminded me of like the conversation we had with the Get Out episode.
Right. Exactly.
Because remember with Get Out, like the spoilers for Get Out. The thing is, like, basically, they do a brain sort of like, what's the word? Like a procedure, and like you're in there, but you're watching your body do things that you can't control. You're literally a passenger that just he literally has no control of your own body. Like that. That's talk about prison. Talk about a prison sentence right there.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's chaos everywhere. This scene's pretty well done, man. I like this whole entire opening sort of sequence. We meet John Malkovich's Douglas with his wife Lydia, saying that she's pregnant and offers Mallory refuge. But Lydia stops, looks up, and sees her mum saying, "Please don't go." Oh. Yeah, wild. We meet a few of the characters here. Everyone's kind of introduced here. We meet Trevante Rhodes as Tom. Trevante Rhodes, man, check him out. If in Moonlight, he's pretty awesome. He's also in The Predator as well.
Dude, He's like one of the best parts of this movie, hands down.
Right.
If not the best part of this movie. Like I fucking love his character as Tom. I love it.
Super likable. Yeah, super likable. He runs up and helps Mallory. He tells Mallory to keep her eyes down as Lydia just sits down in the burning car as it explodes, just casually.
See, and this is something that, like, when your mind looks at an image that doesn't make any sense. Like, everything in your mind is telling you, that's a car, it's on fire, what the fuck, you to get out, stop. No, like, everything in your head, like, violently disagrees with that. So to, like, see somebody doing it so casually is, like, it's unnerving. Like it goes beyond something that's, like, terrifying. Like, it's like, it's like to the level of, like, hearing a fork being scratched on a plate. Like, it just, like, it, like, hurts your brain to see that. And that's what makes that's truly, to me, what's like fucking just horrifying. Like, not scary, not like, oh my God, but like just the horror of what it is. Like, oh my God, that fucking scares the shit out of me, man.
No, dude, I totally agree. Like, your human instinct is to be like, oh shit, that's a burning car. Let me get away from that as much as I can. But man, just the casual nature of just walking up and sitting down, like, damn.
Right. Your brain is just like, does not compute. Like, it just, like, I can't reason with that, you know?
Right. So Douglas sees Lydia go and sit down in the car and refuses to open the door to let them in, saying that Lydia went to help Mallory and now she's gone. We get BD Wong from Jurassic Park. Pretty fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, of course, he's like he's kind of like the chaotic neutral good. He's like Dale from The Walking Dead, you know. So this guy's not going to live more than like 10 minutes.
a lot of this did remind me of The Walking Dead. I'll get into it later, exactly what parts, but yeah, we'll get to it. And a girl named Lucy joins them. So Lucy's played by Rosa Salazar. She's going to be playing Alita in that Alita Battle Angel movie.
Oh, okay.
She's hot. We meet, I never took her character's name down, but Jackie Weaver's in this. She's a pretty big Australian actress. She's from Sydney. And Machine Gun Kelly. All right. I guess. Why are you in here?
You said Jackie Weave?
Jackie Weaver.
Who does she play?
That old lady.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I gotcha.
She's been in a few movies. She was in Silver Linings Playbook. She's been in Animal Kingdom, the Animal Kingdom movie, not the show. She's a damn good actress, though.
Cheryl, that's who she plays. She plays Cheryl.
Cheryl. Oh, of course she's got the old lady name.
Dude, I tell you what's kind of crazy. Just if I don't say this now, I'll forget about it. It's getting way farther ahead. But like, she is one of like the least used people in this, and she makes it almost all the. I mean, she's like one of the last people to die. I was like, wow, that's fucking crazy. You made it all that way, you know? I was like, and there's never really any kind of like explanation of why she's there, what she does. Like, she chimes in every once in a while, and that's really about it. And I was like, wow, that's absolutely crazy that you made it all the way to the end of this. That's odd.
You know what it is? There's a lesson in there. It's like, I'm a part of this group, right? And they're all making like group decisions and shit. Let me sit in the background and hopefully don't get picked for the team, and then I'll survive. And that's exactly what happens. She survives like right to the end because she minds her own fucking business.
Right, yeah. They don't even know she's actually there. She's just been living on the walls and shit.
She's like, oh, I'm baking brownies.
Right.
Douglas thinks it's a biological weapon. I love John Malkovich, man. It's been a while since I've seen him, so it was really good to see him again. But I've always loved this guy, man. Like, his delivery and everything. I can't stop thinking of him as Cyrus the Virus from Con Air.
Oh, dude, I'll always think, well, being John Malkovich. But also, yeah, like his delivery, like I saw something with, who is the guy that played Red Skull in Infinity War?
Hugo Weaving.
No, in Infinity War.
Yeah, the guy from Walking Dead.
It's like Aaron from Walking Dead or something like that.
Yeah.
But he swaps up famous people, and he does John Malkovich in Fight Club, and it is like, I want you to hit me as hard as you can. Dude, it is so fucking good, dude. He does such a great impression of John Malkovich, and I love that about John Malkovich. Like, he's all like, there's something about the way that he talks that is so fucking good. Like, his character, to throw back to a way older episode of ours called The Void, he reminds me of the dad. You remember the dad and the son? You know, and
Yeah, I do.
There's a great line that the dad has in The Void, and she's like, "Oh my God, we're all gonna die." He's like, "No, we're not gonna die. You're gonna die." Like,
all I think of is just Con Air, man. Like that, the last thing you will see is the flies buzzing over your rotting corpse. Like, oh
man,
boy.
he would be good in a Tarantino flick. Why has that never happened, dude?
Totally, but he's a Coen boy. He's totally a Coen boy. Where are we? Oh yes. So Douglas thinks it's a biological weapon. North Korea or Iran. Tom says his crew saw one. If you see it, it makes you kill yourself. And at this point, I just wrote, I'm intrigued. Like, you got me. I'm hooked. The president has declared a state of emergency and has closed all borders. So, obviously I have to make a joke here, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, oh, wow, it's crazy that a fictional movie from December of 2018, there's a state of emergency, the borders are closed, and it's because there's a virus that's making everyone kill themselves. But now
I was going to say, can you imagine that human Cheeto trying to deal with this?
God, no.
Twitter's offline. Oh my God. Sad.
For one thing, he could never cover up his eyes. I mean, he couldn't survive in Quiet Place because he won't ever shut up. But like the problem of like not looking into a mirror every 45 seconds, like, dude, I mean, he would die almost immediately. But it's
fucking toupee falls off as he's running.
I can't believe it. The government shut down the president shut down the borders and declared a state of emergency. And it's like, well, all it takes is to deny someone a baby gate here. And that's what it does. That's crazy. In the movie, it has to be some fucking like insane apocalyptic end of the world thing. It's like, that's hilarious.
For sure. We meet Charlie, played by Lil Rel Howery from Get Out. And basically, he's got the theories. He says, dude, every time someone mentions the word Endgame, I'm just like, Avengers 4. Avengers 4.
Avengers.
Humanity has been judged. So I'm just like, is this biblical? And also, God, I wish this role was played by Jordan Peele. Every time, like, I see this guy, I'm just like, Jordan Peele, please.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I fucking love this dude. He's hilarious,
I do love this dude. Yeah, he is hilarious. He for sure. He says that all religions have one, demons or spirits that take the form of your greatest fears or deepest loss. He's been studying it for years on the internet, working on a novel.
Yeah, I love that. She said, did you go to school? He's like, nah, kind of. I mean, I got all my information from the internet. I mean, fuck, I'm writing a book, guys.
Seems reliable, right? Tom thinks Mallory might have a concussion, and Mallory tells Tom about Jessica's face when she saw the thing. She doesn't get sad, and she's not suicidal. And Douglas tells Mallory that Lydia's mother has been dead for 10 years. We cut back to present day, 6 hours on the river. Mallory gives some water to the birds, calls out on the radio, but only gets static. The birds start chirping, and Mallory starts hearing a whisper that calls out her name. We cut back to 3 days after the attack. There's no words from the authorities. The radio says, don't look at the things and don't go outside. We find out that Douglas works in bankruptcy. This doesn't really go anywhere, the whole suing him and shit like that.
I think it's just character building for Douglas. That's all it is. Like, he's a grumpy fucking old, he's a grumpy old man.
Curmudgeon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I gotta say, if I'm anybody in this movie, I'm fucking Douglas, dude.
Oh, for sure.
I'm so Douglas, dude. I love, later on with what's his name, Gary, the guy that they let in,
Gary,
and they're like, Douglas, this is murder. He goes, no, that is murder. Letting people in is murder. He's gonna kill all of us. I'm like, yeah, I gotta say, I'm on Douglas's side. Like, he almost seems ex-military, kind of.
Yeah, totally. Tell you who I am, dude. I'm Charlie. That the fat chubby guy, the black guy. I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to the store.
Yeah, right. He's like a wealth of knowledge, but he's like, I'm not going out there. Fuck that.
Fuck that. There's a knock on the door. A woman named Olympia is asking for help, and Tom wants to open the door. Douglas refuses, and Mallory just fucking cocks the shotgun. Damn.
Yeah, that's good. Just some fucking major Sarah Connor vibes there.
For sure, dude. She's got a lot of that in this. Tom opens the door after they cover all their eyes, Charlie asks Olympia if she's pregnant. Would have been great if she was just like, no.
Oh, yeah. At first, I was like, oh, no, that's going to look bad.
Oh, yeah.
I love Douglas's line. Great, now we can all starve in the maternity ward.
That was my next note, dude.
Oh, shit.
Great, now we can all starve here in the maternity ward. They need supplies, but they can't see. Greg suggests using the cameras because they're digitized and that they're colors on a screen. The logic here is sound, dude. I can totally see why they would think this. Like, I was actually surprised when the creature actually kind of affected them through the cameras, because like this looks like something that could work.
Right. Yeah. I think it's almost it's a red herring. It's kind of leading up to that. Like, oh yeah. Oh, if we do this, okay. Like, I think a perfect example is the movie Tremors. You can be on the ground, but you have to be on solid rock. So at some point, you can't just be running on like loose ground. You have to be on rock in the way that like you can see it, but you can't have direct visual with it. And I think that if it hit that point, if they were just like, oh, no, you can look at it through like mirrors, or you can look at it through whatever, it would make it a little bit too easy. So I think that everyone's kind of thinking, like I certainly was, that this was gonna be something. They're gonna get a weakness. They're gonna get something to help them out, and that's just totally not the case. And it's such a blow of morale, man. So fucking such a morale blow
for sure. By the way, man, did you know BD Wong is 59 years old?
Wow, dude, he looks fucking great for being 59. Yeah. Holy shit.
Right. Like, he looks, I was like, dude, BD Wong looks awesome in this movie, because I saw him recently in Jurassic World 2, right? So, and he looks a bit older in that, but like, he comes into this, and I'm just like, whoa, what? But yeah, 59 years old. Wild.
That's crazy, because John Malkovich is 65. He's not that much older, dude. I'm like, holy shit.
He might as well be 105.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he looks like fucking Van Helsing, dude. Especially when he grows out a beard. I'm like, holy shit. Are you sure you didn't get bit there, Van Helsing?
He's got that crazy wild gray hair, the fucking Doc Brown hair.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Marty! They tie Greg to a chair, and he looks into the monitor. We find out that Douglas is suing Greg because Greg's husband is an architect who wants to tear down the house and build something more modern. Colin, did you know it was 2018 when this movie came out? I just want to put that out there.
Oh yeah. Like, and I love when he's talking to him. He's like, hey, I never had anything against you and your husband. You were good people. It wasn't that. And he just goes, thank you, Douglas. I fucking love that line.
But I love that, like, Douglas is suing him because he has to look at it.
Yeah,
he has to look at the house.
Dude, some of these neighborhoods, man, that's shit that they do. Like, I've heard some petty ass shit about, like, somebody wanted to put a local middle school football team, like, go so-and-so lightning bolts, and they wouldn't let him put it in their front lawn. I was like, what the fuck? Like, god damn, dude, some of these people are so petty.
But I don't even think a lot of people realize how long and costly illegal fucking proceedings can take. Like, people just, oh yeah, I'm suing you. Like, that is a massive fucking thing.
Right, yeah, that's a lot of time and energy and money.
That's kind of like life-changing. But anyway, so Douglas is really rationing the alcohol. Did you notice just his fucking presses against his tongue? But again, I think that also speaks to your theory that he might be military, ex-military, with the rationing. Greg sees leaves moving on the screen in a shadow, and his eyes go a different color, and then we hear loud thudding. He tips over and smashes his skull. Lots of human bean juice here.
I also don't want to go past Machine Gun Kelly trying to fuck Alita Battle Angel, like.
Right, yeah. She starts hyperventilating, saying that, like, nobody's coming to get them, and he just fucking comes up behind her. I just said, dude, Machine Gun Kelly, eat something. And maybe get your ass to the gym. I thought you were the entity for a sec. The way he comes up behind her and, like, holds her.
Yeah, well, he looks like he looks like a guy who was, like, second running behind Jared Leto for the Joker, and he was like, fuck, man, I gotta go get all this shit removed.
Nice. Olympia wants to bunk with Mallory. I just wrote, she's a talker. I would walk off as well. Like, Mallory just walks off.
I thought that was Adele. I was like, oh, it's Adele. That's crazy. Like, I'm not saying anything.
Susan Boyle.
Adele is a fucking like gorgeous woman, but this woman does the nose, like the hair, like a lot of her actually kind of looks like Adele. Like I was like, oh wow, that's kind of weird. Like I'm not saying that to be mean. Like I fucking love Adele, but like at first it's like, oh, she seems very, very Adele-like to me.
You know, it didn't even like click. I watched this movie on like autopilot because I was like writing down the notes, but it didn't even click for me that like either boy or girl is like Olympia's. I was just fucking watching it on autopilot. I just assumed like both kids were fucking Mallory's, and I was like, wait, how does that work? That can't work.
Oh, she had twins? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, she's a talker, and I would walk off as well. Mallory hears whispering and goes to investigate. Walks in on Felix and Lucy banging. We get some side boob, and I said, "Oh shit! I guess that was the bird box." Also, is this calm down? It's going to be all right. Sex, like, is that what this is? Like, must be right. Like, she was so fucking panicked and
like fucking. Like, as Patton Oswalt describes it, like Viking sex on a burning ship. Like, you're just going to fucking die. Like, who cares? Fuck it. You're just going to die anyways.
They run off into that car, like, with that car, and, like, they just start fucking doing some Thelma and Louise shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just go kill someone and rob shit. We get to present day, 14 hours on the river. As Mallory's rowing along, so this is the scene that I saw with my, like, when my brother was watching it. I was like, okay, I'm intrigued, but I'm not really intrigued enough to watch it. So she's rowing along, she hears a man's voice asking if they need help, and it's okay to take their blindfolds off. And then he starts playing on Mallory's sort of like maternal feelings, saying that the kids look hungry and that he's got some food. As they row closer to the shore, Mallory pulls out a gun. Like, fucking wild, right? Some real Sarah Connor shit here.
This is some of the scariest shit to me, and like these people.
Totally.
These people are the scariest parts of like Bird Box because we don't know what these creatures look like. We don't really know anything about them. So when we get people like this who are just, I mean, I don't know what you call it, servants?
Kind of like religious, faithful, or like really like radicalized. Like, you know, it reminds me a lot of. Did you play Far Cry 5?
No,
or the new
I didn't.
one, whatever
No.
the fuck. Oh, okay. So it's set in the South, so you're welcome. And basically, like, there's this like cult leader, and like he's got these followers, these disciples, and they're just like blindly following him, even though he's just like spewing shit. Like, that's kind of what this reminds me of.
Yeah, I mean, I have fucking no context, but sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these people are far more terrifying to me than anyone else. Just the whole. You know, he's like, and all of a sudden he's just right there. He's like, give me your blindfold. Take off your blindfold. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking scary.
Because she just like points it in all directions and starts firing, right? And there's a joke about women firing weaponry there, but I'm not going to make that joke.
What an asshole.
Yeah, and not John Goodman just grabs Mallory and starts struggling fucking
John
shoes.
Goodman.
She kicks off his shades and he says that he's seen the truth, and she just fucking hacks at him with a machete and they get away.
Oh, right in the fucking jugular, dude, and the water just pulls him under. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, fucking right in the kisser. Cut back to after the attack. Tom tells them they've run out of food and now they have to get outside. Charlie suggests his workplace, the Fields Market. Okay, so this is something that I'd never liked in post-apocalyptic movies, and this is why I dropped out of The Walking Dead. I hate no, I'll go, I'll come too, you can't come. Like, that is so tropey. Like, the whole argument about who's going, and then the whole, like, no, I care about you too much, you're gonna get hurt. I'm so over that shit. Like, I don't like that, and The Walking Dead had that in every fucking episode.
Yeah, at some point it's like Olympia's like, I'll go. I'm like, I'm surprised that nobody turned around to her and they were like, are you out of your fucking mind? You were like, you would get killed so fucking quickly. Like, come on. She even says so. Like, she's such a spoiled kind of brat. You know, like, she's a spoiled, like, not really a brat. She's really sweet, but she's always been spoiled. And she's always had people like looking out for her in that way. So I'm like, I don't really want her on a run with me watching my back, you know? Like, no way. She's going to fucking shoot me or stab me before they ever get a hold of me.
Right, exactly. Charlie doesn't want to go. It's a supermarket. You've been shopping before. You want to get cereal. The sign will say cereals. Mallory convinces him by saying that it's a research of the book.
Also,
Tom says,
I don't want to go past one thing. Earlier, you know, there was that couple in the house with them that went running out. They, you know, went off to find their kids or something like that.
Children.
Yeah, they went off to find their kids. They drive like past their bodies at one point. They're on the ground.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I went back and I didn't at first. You know, there's so many dead bodies everywhere that it's kind of hard to really pick up on all of it. But I think it's when they first start getting out there that you see it. But that's
Damn.
fucking like. I thought that's great storytelling. I'm like, cool. Like that actually like. That to have a little throwback to something you just talked about earlier.
I kind of wish they did that with Felix and Lucy because we never really get an answer from them.
Yeah, right.
Like they just drive off. Yeah. So Tom says they have to black out the windows of the car. And then it's like, but okay, the GPS isn't going to show random bullshit on the road that you may hit. Like coming up 50 meters ahead is a human. Swerve, bitch.
Yeah, right. It's not like fucking. It's not like Minesweeper, you know.
Right, because like he says GPS, like it's going to do that, and like at this point I'd already written down the joke, so fuck you, the joke's staying in there. They have a proximity sensor, and then it's just like they're crushing skulls, and he's just like, just a speed bump.
Yeah, it's just a bump. We're fine, just a bump.
Yeah. There's loud rumbling noises, proximity sensors from all sides. I love this, dude. I do like the tension that this sets up, especially with the proximity sensors. It's good.
Oh, yeah, and then fucking Charlie, he's like, breathe, Charlie, breathe. He's like, nah, get me the fuck out of here.
Charlie just wants out, man. He's fucking all up in arms. They do the Evil Dead thing. Did you notice that? You know how Sam Raimi always does the first-person camera thing? Like the camera just takes the point of view of the entity or the monster, and it's just like
yeah. I love that shit.
They do that a couple times, but yeah, Tom just fucking floors it, and they get to the supermarket. They all get out blindfolded. This is like watching a game of Marco Polo. And Douglas heads straight to the booze. And I love the joke from Charlie. I'm not cleaning this shit up. Tom gives Mallory some diapers, tells her his sister's expecting her fourth. They get to know each other. Her dad was a cowboy on a real ranch. She says that he could have been his babysitter, and he says, I hate this. He says she could have been his hot babysitter. Was this written by a 13-year-old with like pre-cum dripping down his pants as he read it? Like that's so shit. I hate that writing, man.
Yeah, it's not a very good line. You know, it's like, yeah, it's, you know, it's like, I know you're probably want to like play hot, make her feel like a little bit younger. I know she's a little bit older than you, but like it's like, yeah, you're my hot babysitter. I'm 8 and you're 13. She's like, dude, that's fucking gross.
Right, exactly. Douglas makes a toast and says something that the human Cheeto would say for making the end of the world great again.
I feel like that's improvised. It wouldn't surprise me if it's improvised.
Yeah, could be. He suggests staying at the supermarket, not caring about the rest of the people at Greg's place. Better them than us. Dude, he's pretty cold, but honestly, I get it. I get it. I get it a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm anybody in this movie, I'm fucking Douglas. Like, I get what he's saying. Like, some of us should stay here. Like, I can compromise with it, you know, go and get the others and then come back here. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to fucking live in that big of a spot. A grocery store, like, ooh, that's kind of terrifying.
There's a lot of doors you got to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit, man.
Totally. They hear, Mallory says they're not assholes and they're not staying. But yeah, they hear banging on a door to the loading dock and pleading for a guy to let them in. Douglas raises the gun and Tom cracks the door, and Charlie recognizes the person as Fish Fingers. The birds are going crazy. Fish Fingers barges through, and Charlie just fucking rushes him, ending up on the other side of the door. And then all you hear is like slashing noises and blood pools under the door. Fish Fingers just keeps banging on the door. Charlie's a fucking awesome. Like, Charlie's awesome here. I love him.
But part of me is like, dude, you can just run up and fucking like give him a Leonidas kick and kick him back into the thing. Like, you don't have to run
like,
in there with him.
This is Sparta.
Yeah, this is Charlie. But yeah, and also the like this might be like, except for Gary later on at the end, like this is some of the most terrifying stuff. Is this guy Fish Fingers, you know, because it's like. It's like he has this trap set. They come, they activate the trap, he gets a kill, and then he just resets and just starts all over again. Like, I feel like he might even be able to get out of there at any time, but he's just like, I stay in here like a spider with like a little nest, and yeah, I can just like capture people and just pop out every once in a while, grab something and bring it back in, and that be it. Like, holy fuck, that is fucking that's creepy.
Yeah, totally. Like the thing about them is like. They're smarter than zombies. They're not mindless. Like, they can actually think, you know? Like, they've got like a cognitive ability to make decisions and open doors and things like that, whereas zombies will just be like slamming against that door like mindlessly. And that's kind of like the scary part, you know, like the fact that they have intent. Scary shit. Cut to them back at Greg's. Another novel I won't have to read, says Malkovich. Jesus Christ.
God, he's such an ass.
Yeah. Douglas and Mallory talk about his ex-wives, Mallory's father, etc. They drink together, and Douglas says there's only two types of people in this world, the assholes and the dead. And Mallory says she hopes there's more. And this is the moment where we get, you know, Felix and Lucy. I thought they were just going to go fuck again, but really it's them stealing the car and taking off.
I did not see this coming, man. I didn't.
Neither did I.
But one thing I was going to ask you, what do you think happens to them? Get like if you can, you know, think 5 sentences of something that happened. I was like, I bet you they get out there, they try to go back to the grocery store. They think, whatever, we can just stay here. We've got enough supplies, and they fucking bump into someone like Gary or something else. $100. I say that's what happens, because like. They're the youngest of the group. They're rash. They're inexperienced. Like they're obviously not team players, to say in the least. Like, so there's something about it that I'm like, dude, these people don't survive more than fucking 48 hours.
Right. Well, we don't get enough information from like Felix to kind of really accurately judge on what he's going to do. Like, you kind of like get a feeling that he's pretty dumb. Like he's not the smartest fellow in the room. But Lucy comes off as a little intelligent. Plus she's got some police training. Like they mentioned, like Felix mentions that she's at the academy still, but it might not be enough. Plus she's very panicky, and she was hyperventilating earlier when she saw Greg dead. So I don't know. Like, I don't think these two will survive very long. I do agree with you. I think they do go back to the supermarket because Lucy knows where it is, and then she knows how to get there. And you know what? I think you are right. Like, they do bump into like one of those psychos, like from the mental asylum, who are like kind of like immune to these to the suicidal tendencies. But yeah, I don't really have any other good guesses. I mean, other than like, you know, them taking the car and pretty much driving as far as they can from where they are now. That's pretty much the only guess, but really I think the supermarket idea would be the smartest idea. And I think Lucy will be the one to come up with that, not Felix. So
yeah, I was wondering, because, you know, spoiler alert, you know, we see her OBGYN at the end of the movie, and I was like, wouldn't it be a motherfucker if you looked up and there's Felix and her, and just like one of them had survived and made it to that place. Like, you fucking piece of shit, man. Like, oh my God. Like, kind of like some Night of the Living Dead type shit. Like, oh my God, you're the one who survived. Like, that's fucking horrible.
Dude, they're paddling for 2 days straight. Like, is this 2 states over? Is that like because where are they right now? What city?
I think it's set in California. In the book, it's set in Detroit, but I think this is set in California. From what I've read, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's California.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, like paddling for 2 days straight with a current as well. Like you'd end up pretty fucking far, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's got the, you know, it's just pushing her straight down the river. But at some point I'm like, how do you even know where you're going? You're just gonna be spinning in circles for a while. Like, you have no fucking clue. Like I said, the current's just gonna pull you, but still, I would just love, they're just like stuck up on a rock. They're not even in the water. And she's like, I think we got it. Like, just like pushing these oars with like no resistance. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I think we're picking up traction.
We cut to present day, 24 hours on the river. Mallory rows them into the side of a truck, and she knocks the boy, the food, and the blankets into the water. Fucking lots of tension here, man. I kind of like, I sat up in my chair. I was like, shit.
Hey, maybe strap your fucking shit down to your boat. You're blind and you can't see anything. Like, strap everything down. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
You're in a little fucking dinghy, yeah. She rows to shore and tells the kids to be quiet, lay down flat and not to leave the boat. Mallory just takes a rock and walks up to an abandoned building. She takes blankets from the beds and scavenges supplies. Then she hears a noise and the rope thing starts being pulled. I don't know what to call that rope thing that she's carrying with her.
Yeah, I don't know what to call that either.
Kind of like a pulley thing that's like...
It's like a trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
Why, dude, would we reference that way too fucking much?
It's so fucking funny, man.
Yeah, she starts seeing that, like, she hears that being fucking pulled along with the bed it's attached to. There's some good tension here.
Yeah, I like this scene a lot.
Yeah, me too. She goes outside, makes a run from it. She trips because it's a horror movie, and starts firing at some floating leaves. This would have been so silly. This could have been so silly, but they do a good job, I think.
And she fucking shoots one of the kids by accident.
Oh, fuck.
Wow, that Bird Box movie got real dark.
Yeah, it got real dark, man. Girl puts a rope around her and heads into the forest, and the leaves pretty much, she comes into contact with an entity, and the leaves float in front of her before she gets pulled back by Mallory, and fucking Mallory is pissed. Rightly so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for one thing, at first I was like, I saw the little girl and she's walking up and the leaves start moving. She sticks her hand out. I'm like, oh no, it's just going to go like some telepathic, like weird ass route. And I was like, oh, okay, thank God. No, that's the monster. Never mind.
Yeah. Really glad they didn't fucking go in that direction.
Oh my God.
There's already enough like supernatural stuff happening in this. But yeah. Dude, that's about halfway. What do you think about taking a break right here?
Let's do it.
Fucking awesome, guys. We will be right back with more Bird Box. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Zoheb just breaking in the middle here. We've got a few things that we just wanted to put out there for any newcomers, or if you're not part of our growing community, maybe this could benefit you too. Firstly, we just wanted to let the newbies know about our episodes and the way Midnight Double Feature is currently structured. As you know, right now you're listening to one of our feature presentations. When we started the podcast, we basically built the show around our feature presentations. These are movies that we choose to cover and basically go through everything in the movie that's worth talking about sequentially. These episodes are generally longer, and we're definitely looking at options to spice up our feature presentations by getting guests on, very much like LSG Media's Matt Anderson in our Get Out feature presentation. We also have our upcoming attraction episodes. Typically these come out during the week and are much shorter than our feature presentations. These are hosted by Matt Vella and basically consist of a conversation between Matt and I about any movie news that's worth talking about, quick reviews of movies that are currently out in the cinemas, and other hijinks. Finally, we have our special features. These are usually one-off special episodes that are mostly experimental and don't really have any specific definition. They could be a sit-down with a cast or crew member, a conversation between the hosts, or just a straight-up different thing that might not even relate to film. Before I let you get back to the episode, I just wanted to thank our listeners and supporters. We definitely couldn't have done any of this without your guys' constant support. If, for some reason, you're not a part of our growing community, head to our socials. We've got 2 pages on Facebook, Midnight Double Feature, which is our main page and has our formal announcements, and we also have the After Party, which is where we post memes, news, and teasers of what's next to come on Midnight Double Feature. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. Thanks again for listening, guys. Back to the show. Hey guys, we are back, freshly squeezed. And we're diving right back into Bird Box. So basically, we got Trevante Rhodes' character, Tom, talking about his deployment in Iraq. He sees a guy who was walking his kids to school in the middle of chaos, basically. And his unit followed him day after day, escorting him. And at the end of the day, the guy gave him, at the end of his tour, the guy gave him a necklace. Meanwhile, Olympia lets in Cutler Beckett into the house. Do you get that reference, Colin? Probably not.
No, not at all.
So this guy's from Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, that first trilogy.
Oh.
And he's that British bureaucrat.
He's fucking Jim Beach in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes, he is. I knew you'd pick up on that.
Oh yeah, Miami himself.
Yeah, hell yeah, Miami. Mallory aims a gun at him and he gets down. Are you a simpleton?
That's what I'm talking about, dude. I am fucking Douglas, dude. I fucking love that line.
Gary wants to stay and be safe. He says psychos from Northwood Mental Institution broke into his buddy's place. They took him outside and forced their eyes open. And when the psychos broke in, they didn't wear blindfolds. They wanted to see. They were happy. At this moment, I was just like, fuck, this is actually super intriguing.
Dude,
this is so cool.
This is when the movie, ratchets everything up. Honestly, this is when I really start to, the second half of this movie is a lot stronger than the first half.
Hell yeah. Yeah, because the first half is very, there's a lot of, post-apocalyptic tropes. It's a little tropey, but yeah, the second half of this movie really comes into its own. Douglas grabs the shotgun and orders Gary to fuck off.
Oh yeah, tells anybody who doesn't like it they can get the fuck out too. I'm like, holy shit.
I love him, man. And Cheryl just fucking smashes a pot on Douglas's head and they take him to the garage. Fucking finally she does something, right? Olympia wants Mallory to take care of the baby if anything happens to her. Kind of a big responsibility to dump on someone, no?
Yeah, I think it's because she's like, I know I'm not going to make it through this. I'm just not.
Yeah. Still, it's not like, if everything becomes okay, can you just leave my baby at a fire station?
Dude, well, I love, I'm not sure when Olympia says it, but, they're talking about, her letting in, oh God, I'm just going to keep calling him Jim
Gary?
Beach now. Yeah, Gary. She was like, I know what it felt like to be the other person on the side of that door. And I was like, God, that's good, man. That's good writing. That really, that's all you need to empathize in that situation. And it got me. I was like, yeah, I mean, I understand, as much as I agree with Douglas and shit, I fucking get it. I really do.
I do agree with it. And Olympia, she kind of strikes me a little bit on the spectrum.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's not cognitively 100% there.
Right. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who got that. I don't know if it's just the way the actress was playing her. But yeah, she kind of she doesn't come off as someone who will survive by themselves in this kind of situation.
Oh God, no.
Let's put it that way.
This girl is food if she's not in this house, holy shit.
Right. Totally. Mallory gives her a kitten keychain, which obviously gets given to the girl later. We cut back to 38 hours on the river. Mallory calls a meeting and they all huddle under a blanket. She needs to talk to the kids about the rapids. One of the kids is going to have to look, telling Mallory which direction to steer. And boy is brave as fuck. Just puts his hand up, man. Good on you, dude.
Yeah, dude, this is when you really, and for one thing, we haven't talked about these kids yet.
For sure.
I love them. I think they're great.
They're great.
Especially the little girl. She gets a lot more of the screen time, I feel like. But she is just adorable. Mallory? I love the way that she talks. She is so cute, and it kind of makes it even more you really because that girl is so cute and so innocent and just so sweet. You kind of look at Mallory and you're like, God, lady, when the boy's like, yeah, I'll look. She's like, no, I decide who looks. And you are kind of getting the feeling that she's going to tell her, no, girl,
right.
you have to look. And I'm like, that's fucked up, man. That is so fucked up and dark.
But you know what? Like, we'll talk about it when we get to it, like, because these scenes are kind of broken up. So, you know, we get this little moment here, and then it cuts back to, like, Gary, like, doing his fucking deeds and shit. But, yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to it. But I love the way that, like, that fucked up decision that she's about to make, like, making the girl go, like, having to look. I love that it's in service to Mallory's sort of arc as a character, because she didn't care about Boy, like, when she was pregnant with him, but the fact that she's making a girl to, like, look is like, I care about Boy a little bit, enough to send this girl to death, pretty much.
Right, exactly. And I don't know if it's something like, does she harbor anything against Girl? Like, because her mom is the one who let Gary in, and all of this happened because of that.
I didn't think about it that way. That's cool.
I was like, is there some kind of resentment there? I don't know, because she's annoying. You know, she kind of lets this person in, and it's the downfall of all of them. Like, I would get why. You know, I would get it if she were, like, a little resentful of that.
Yeah, for sure. So we cut back to after the attack, the flashback. They all bond over a song. What song is this?
Oh shit! I fucking can't remember.
Neither do I.
I know it's something I thought I would hear in, like, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, for sure. And Olympia starts getting contractions. The bird chirps, and Gary notices. So that's pretty kind of important, right? Gary just kind of looks at the birds. At this point, I was thinking that Gary was like, "Oh, okay, the bird chirps, so maybe there's like an entity in here already." Or something like that. Like, do you know what I mean? I thought maybe, like, that he was a good guy. I honestly did not see this thing with Gary coming at all. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't thinking. I don't know.
No, because he's really likable, like, right off the bat. He's helpless.
He totally is.
You know, and you think, okay, well, they've lost some people. They'll gain some numbers back. And Gary, you know, maybe he's like a doctor or something. Who knows? But also, like, if you, like, I like the fact that they kind of keep his eyes away from you, like, when you first see him. I don't know if it really shows the full extent of what his eyes look like, but they do a good job of kind of keeping them away from you when you first see him. And, like, when he's across the room, you know, that song, the Forever and Never You Stay in My Heart, which is a really good song. I just don't know who does it. But he, you know, it kind of stays away from him. There's not a lot of close-ups on him, is what I'm saying. Like, you don't really see his eyes all that well.
Yeah, I didn't even, like, think of that. Because I just thought,
or is it like,
I just thought,
is it something like that kicks in later on? I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that's what I thought.
Right, I can't.
If there's anyone who's read the book out there, definitely let us know. I'd like to know that.
Right, yeah, because I can't really see it, like, when they're in this kitchen scene, but, like, I'm not sure if it's just because there's not a whole lot of light on him, or if you got a little bit closer, you could see it. But he does have that, like, wide-eyed kind of, like, I've been hitting fucking LSD and some ecstasy for, like, a whole weekend, like, kind of look.
Mallory's water breaks, conveniently. They both have the baby at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that she looks over at Douglas, who just kind of nods. Because he's been sequestered, obviously. Like, he wanted to kick out Gary. And, like, there's that shot of, like, basically just Douglas, like, nodding and realizing that, oh, shit, she's about to have the baby. And then I just wrote, geez, there's a lot of yelling in this sequence.
Oh, I love Tom. You guys are doing great. Shut up.
Mallory has a boy. Gary puts on some classical music to drown out the carnage going on upstairs. That's what I thought. Like, I thought he just puts on the music because I guess he can't bear to hear two women simultaneously giving birth upstairs. But he lays out these weird-ass drawings, dude. It kind of reminded me of, like, you know, in The Ring when the kid just starts drawing the circles.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Like the black circles.
Like, there's a couple of these that are like I'm not scared easily by much, but about the last 3 or 4 he puts out there, I'm like, that's fucking terrifying. Like,
yeah.
that is so fucking scary. And it kind of cuts back to, like, what I was talking about, this, like, H.P. Lovecraft, like, Cthulhu kind of thing, where they talked about the old ones, like the ancient ones, these kind of, like, I don't know what you would call them, kind of free-flowing, like, aquatic monster kind of things, like these huge leviathans.
Like cephalopods, yeah. Like I can't remember. Like it reminds me of Arrival. Have you seen Arrival?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember the aliens in that? Like it's kind of like tentacly, and they're like massive.
Yeah, which is actually another thing from In the Mouth of Madness. Actually, I was like, oh shit, these fucking creatures look like similar and shit. But I love that. Yeah, I get. It's easy for someone to point a finger and say, "Oh, well, that's what they look like." It's like, no, that's what Gary sees, like in his head.
Sure.
This is not what they really look like. Like it's going to look like different things to different people.
Yeah, because they look like baby monsters, baby face monsters.
Rob, yeah, apparently.
Apparently. He takes the birds and puts them in the freezer, goes and tears down the window shades and just starts looking outside. Tom finds the drawings and looks for Gary, taking the birds out of the freezer before Gary knocks him out. Douglas sees Gary's pupils and Gary opens the garage door on fucking Douglas. Yeah.
That's fucking, oh man, I love that. He's like, oh, fuck you. We fucking saved you, you prick. I'm like, oh.
I like that he says we saved you, but it's like, except I stuck a shotgun in your face and told you to fuck off.
Yeah, right. But I love Douglas. He's kind of like still trying to play it. He's like, you fucking asshole. Like it seems like it's just a major inconvenience. It's like, you would expect him to be like, oh, God, please, no. God, please, no. Yeah. But he's like, oh, you're a fucking dick, dude.
Malkovich knows how to hold a grudge.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Olympia has a girl. Gary walks in all creep-like. You look so beautiful. Can I see? Dude, never let a guy who talks in a monotonous voice like that and looks like he's staring off into the distance like he's trying to see something 50 kilometers away. Near your child. He
looks like he's been dropping crystal meth just directly into his eyes.
It looks like he's about to go to Burning Man.
Right, yeah. No, but I love that there's this almost weird fascination with kids. Because we also see this from the guy who's on the shore. He's like, oh, you got some kids there. I bet they're hungry, blah, blah, blah. Like he's really trying to tempt them. He's almost kind of like, hey, I got some candy here in my van. Like this, like creepy, really kind of like he even says like, oh, hey, there's a baby deer over here. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen one before? It's really cool. Like, yeah, like there's something that takes that to a whole other level. The fact that they're not like, oh, we just want to rip your, we just want to, we want to expose your kids to this. Like, it's more than just that. It's like, but I don't think that the kids commit suicide. I think that there's something else. I think there's something even worse in store for them. What it is, I don't know, but I don't think it's that simple.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you that because he just inspects the two kids and then he goes and opens the shades. But what do you reckon happens? Like, do you think they offer these kids up as like a sacrifice or some shit? Like, I mean, that's probably the worst thing that I can imagine happens to these kids, right? Right,
because I mean, like, what the kids, oh, it's your worst fear, or blah blah blah, or this or that, and it's like, well, what would a newborn baby's worst fear even be? There's nothing,
right? Like,
there's nothing developed there. There's no regret. There's no
tits.
Right, exactly. There's nothing going on. So, like, like, is that just Are they kind of like the new harbingers of this? Do they become like the Garys of this, like now, or what? And Gary fucking, after he, well, no, I don't want to jump too far ahead. You go ahead, because I'm going to end up jumping way too far ahead.
No, that's cool. Well, I was just going to say, like, he opens the shades and Olympia gets infected and she just fucking, like, powers out of the window. And Gary holds open Cheryl's eyes, telling her to see. And man, she just stabs herself in the neck with the scissors twice.
Well, one thing I don't get is the shadow. There's nothing physically there. What is the shadow that we're always seeing? Like, we see it one night. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's a question that I was like having earlier, because like, if there's a shadow of the creature or like the entity or the entities, then that means that like they're kind of like physically there, but like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get how they can't go through windows and doors, but yet they can like be anywhere at any time. I don't get the rules fully.
Yeah, it's kind of odd, because I guess you could say, all right, I'm terrified of Tim Curry's Pennywise. If I looked at this thing, it just materializes as that, and everyone around it, if you're looking directly at it, it becomes whatever that thing is for you. And I can see it casting the shadow like that, but like I don't know. It's really odd, because then at the same time there's a scene of Sandra Bullock where she's sleeping in the bed and we see the shadow go right past her window, and I'm like, well, what form is it? There's no form to it right now. It's this it's this massless thing. Like what is it? And that's the only thing that seems odd to me. I think if they'd have just stuck with the whole wind and leaves like thing, but yeah, them adding the shadow and adding all this other stuff in it's just an odd choice. It visually it's cool, but it's not really consistent with a lot of the mythos that they're trying to set up.
Well, that's kind of like what I was referring to at the top of the episode when I was like, I need a bit more to chew on here. I don't think it's like fully fleshed out. It just feels a little clunky sometimes. But hey, what can you do? It might even just be something that was thrown in for the movie. It might not have been in the book. The fact that there are shadows.
Yeah.
It seems like a very visual thing to add. So
it seems like such a small thing for us to be on for like 40 minutes.
Gary wants the children, and Douglas walks in. Dude, why did you announce yourself?
Dude,
hey, asshole!
I fucking love Gary right there. He's like, Mel, come on, give me the kids. Like he is so nonchalant, and that to me is like, dude, I just got a cold chill thinking about it, dude. I guess he actually, one thing, I guess, he doesn't know where the fuck he is. If he's like, hey, asshole, and he kind of starts moving towards him, he can hear him and he can shoot him. But
here's the thing, like Gary's like, he keeps constantly asking for the kids, and he's kind of like going on to this. I don't know if he's monologuing or if he just keeps going for the kids, but like Douglas could have just like snuck up and pointed the gun at Gary while he was talking to get a better understanding of where he was in the room, right? Like you could follow the sound of his voice.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I guess there's no guarantee that Gary's not going to be looking right at you, though. Like as soon as you walk into that room,
yeah. True. Or there's a lot of things you can take a gamble on, yeah.
Right, or if he shoots and fucking hits the kids or Mel because they're super close by it, it's a fucking shotgun at point blank range.
yeah. I do like that Gary kind of like starts weaving and gets closer and closer to Douglas, and. Dude, Douglas just pulls the trigger and clips Gary. Gary just fucking NFL tackles Douglas over the stairs, but Gary, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see Gary recovering first, and he just stabs Douglas with the fucking scissors, man. This is brutal.
Man, he's like, I'm sorry that you aren't alive to see it. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Does anyone own scissors like these anymore? These big ass fucking
not that big, but I've got a decent pair and the thing, but no, I don't have the fucking like I feel like you should have some type
1849 style scissors. Yeah,
you should have some type of license to operate them.
They basically have their own postcode because they're so fucking big. Tom wakes up and goes for the shotgun. Him and Gary kind of have a tug of war for the shotgun. And Mallory just hears two gunshots before Tom walks into the room. I finished writing that sentence like before it even happened because I knew it was going to be Tom. I was like, they're building this up, and I was like, there's no way it's going to be Gary.
Oh, but,
yeah. Cut to 5 years later. This is a pretty big time jump, but we all knew it was going to happen, right? Mallory's teaching boy and girl about being in an open space and clicking the rocks. She's a badass now. She's basically Sarah Connor, or Ripley in Aliens. She's scavenging a home, and two cars pull up. She hears the voices and the cars take off. Mallory runs back to Tom and their living quarters and tells him. I guess I do like this kind of like time jump because they're used to these psychos by now. Apparently, they've kind of like adapted to knowing kind of like how they operate, right? Like they just drive around in cars and try and find out who's living in these abandoned houses or so-called abandoned houses.
Yeah, and I love Mel's like that utility belt that she has. She's got like a flashlight, a gun, a fucking machete.
Yeah.
Like I was like, dude, you are hardcore about this shit. Like, okay, like she is not fucking around.
Total Sarah Connor. Like you said, you definitely hit the nail on the head earlier when you're like Sarah Connor, and I was like, fuck yeah.
Right, and because it's like I've always heard there's always been the debate between Sarah Connor and Ripley, and it's like, well, Ripley is like frozen and doesn't have to deal with this for like years, whereas like this is like years later having to prep and become this person. Really fucks you up.
Yeah, absolutely. They bang. I'm sorry. Look. Sandra Bullock is not unattractive, but Tom's kind of out of your league, bro. he's a handsome man.
he's looking around. He's like, well, it's Douglas, Olympia, or Mel. I'm gonna go with Mel.
Too bad that chick's going with Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, right. He's like, shit.
Damn it. The radio gets a call from a guy named Rick. All I think of is Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Rick,
Coral.
You can't protect him, Rick. Fucking Shane. You can't protect him, Rick. Coral. He says they have. He says they have a place, a compound with supplies, and a community. This kind of reminds me of Fury Road with the green place.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just like, damn, like they're journeying so far to get to this place just purely on faith, purely on like someone else's word. I love it. I dig that kind of. That's one of my favorite elements of Fury Road, dude. Rick says that the fastest way there is a river, and that he doesn't think that they can make it with kids. He warns them that they have to look. And basically follow the sounds of the birds to us. And the radio cuts off while he's explaining that's our, I thought, the movie was kind of go somewhere else with that, because they both kind of like, they're like, that's our what? That's our what? I thought the movie, like when they get there, like it was going to be something that they didn't expect. But yeah, like nothing really happens with that line. But yeah, they debate. Later, Tom is telling the kids a story, and Mallory's angry because it's basically a lie. She's very glass half empty. She wants to suppress their expectations of the outside world. Basically, I love this, man. I love this whole kind of like surviving is not living kind of thing.
Right, exactly. It's like what's the point of doing all of this stuff if we're just going to? I mean, it's one thing. Like, okay, yeah, we don't have constant water supply, food supply, whatever. Our lives are always in jeopardy, but at least we have like stories we can sit around and entertain each other and tell them about a world that they have no idea anything about. That's super cool. It reminds me of, have you ever seen Reign of Fire?
Yeah, hell yeah. Like when they do the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. When they're doing that, I'm like, yeah, that's what you would do. You would pass on these stories,
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of ironic that we have an artist who, for one thing, it's ironic that she's an artist visually, the whole thing about the visual stuff. But then also at the same time, her painting at the beginning of this is people who failed to connect. And here she is like, this is how you connect with these kids and you build stories with them. And Tom's great at it, but Mel sucks. I mean, she's fucking terrible. Like, she's the worst mom in the world. I mean, even to the point of like, I get it. You don't want to fill their head full of like false hopes and stuff like that. But what's the point of all of this if there isn't some kind of hope? That's even the toast with Douglas later on. Here's hope that there's something out there more than the assholes and the dead,
For sure. Yeah, because Tom says they need a mother, man, but like Mallory's just focused on surviving and not really enjoying what they're fighting for. So, like, what's the point?
Well, I think it's also easier for her to just focus on the survival stuff than to be a parent. She's like, I would much rather be out there getting my hands dirty and figuring this stuff out than try and figure out 2 kids. One of them, which isn't even mine.
It's her coping mechanism for being a parent, basically.
Right, it's a good scapegoat to ignore all of that stuff.
Sure. The next day, they break into a place. Mallory and Tom enjoy strawberry Pop-Tarts with the kids. I like this moment. It's pretty nice. But it's pretty short-lived because the psychos pull up and they just fucking start firing, dude. They don't even start talking to him. They just start firing shots. Tom says if he's not home in 15, take the kids to the boat and go. Tom goes out to the psychos and, dude, do you know this guy?
I don't think I do. Refresh my memory.
So the actor's name is David Dastmalchian, but he's from
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Yes.
The Dark Knight, and more recently Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. He actually has an awesome guest appearance on Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man Beyond. Highly recommend listening to that, man. Like this guy's totally humble. He sounds like a real nice dude. But yeah, it was so like kind of like weird seeing him because he's now in these like big movies. So it's just like, well, all right, you're in Bird Box as a minor villain.
Yeah, very minor, like 2-minute screen time.
Yeah, Tom starts firing, and it's kind of a bit of a shitty situation, seeing as like, you know, they can see him, but you know, like he obviously can't see them, and he just takes one in the shoulder. He takes off his blindfold, flanks the psychos, and he just fucking keeps his eyes open. I like this sacrifice, you know, like he subjects himself to the infection in order to save the family, which is awesome. He powers through it and he just fires at David Dastmalchian before taking his own life. Pretty cool. Yeah, what do you think about his sacrifice, man? I thought it was touching.
Yeah, I think it's kind of inevitable as in like a storytelling plot. I think it's like it has to be the catalyst to push your characters like forward. And it explains a lot of Mel's behavior. You know, if you remove your blindfold, I will hurt you. You know, and even Boy says later on, you know, he's like, she's scared of you. Like talking about girl, she's scared of Mel. And I part of me is like, dude, like I don't know, like, is it something like, can you not just like keep your eyes closed and or like if you feel this thing coming up behind you, like he turns around and looks at it. I'm like, fuck that, dude. Like I would just fucking shoot that guy and then run like hell to get the fuck out of there, man.
Right. And then we circle back to the beginning. So we're already there. The only like, and this is a kind of like what happens with flashbacks and prequels and things. You know that eventually Tom is going to die. So you're kind of waiting for it. It's just one of those things, but not really much you can do about that. And then we get to 42 hours on the river. So this is pretty cool. Mallory refuses to let Boy sacrifice himself and look. And she's like, she comes off as stubborn, man, and she wants to make the choice because we know that she actually ends up loving her son. And you know, girl puts up a hand, and you see Mallory kind of like buck and hesitate because it's not her child. This is great acting from Bullock, man. I think it's just fantastic writing. Like as a whole, it's great.
Yeah, and that little girl kills it. She absolutely crushes it, man. When she's like, "Oh, it might be me," she kind of like sucks in her bottom lip. She's kind of like, "Oh, fuck!" Like she wears that like anxiety really well. Right. And you know, a few beats go by, and Mallory decides that nobody's looking. And they go over the rapids. Have you ever been whitewater rafting? No.
I have, and it is terrifying. Yeah, man. I remember doing it in Bali like a few years back. It's kind of scary, man. But it's super fun. Like I highly recommend to do it at least once in your life. I think I would if I didn't have a lifelong crippling, terrifying fear of drowning. Really? Well, I'll tell you, I'm very comfortable in water. So,
like I'm a great swimmer, and like I can hold my breath for a minute, but and I'll open up my eyes underwater. But it's just something like you drink all you want, you still will never get out of it. I'm like, no, God, that's terrifying, man. That scares the fuck out of me.
You know what? Between drowning and strangulation, those two are the worst ways to go. But I think I'd still prefer to be strangled than drown. Drowning might be the worst way to go.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be strangled too.
Yeah. What a cheery podcast.
Yes, Daddy.
Kinky. And I just said, man, I wrote down, this is stressful to watch, like as they go over the rapids. But the boat capsizes pretty quickly and realistically, right? Like you wouldn't last very long against that. And they all go into the water. Eventually, all three reunite with girl ringing the bell on the shore. Where is this bell from? Where did she get this bell from? Did I miss that?
Oh yeah, it was in one of the houses. She pops off and screws it, and she even says to Tom, she's like, "Yeah, this would be like an early warning system for the kids." Yep.
And all the birds are alive, and then they follow the sounds of the birds, which is the directions that fucking Rick gave earlier. And Mallory hears Tom's voice. She trips and takes a tumble. Man, she trips a lot in this movie. This is a very horror trope thing. Kind of rolled my eyes a few times.
I mean, she is fucking blind.
Yeah, that's true. I guess she has a good reason to trip.
There's actually a lot more where I was like, I expected more. I wanted to see more of like people like getting used to this because they're so good at it right away. I'm like, do me a favor. Close your eyes when we're done with this. Stand up and try to walk out of your room and down the hallway without slamming into shit. And it's like, dude,
I'm good at it because I know my house very well.
Right now,
yeah.
And now I'm like, imagine you're out in the fucking middle of the woods after boating for like 2 days straight.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, she's gonna be fucking lucky to walk, man.
Yeah, she's probably got like jelly legs and shit. Boy and girl hear the bells jingling as they leave, and they hear Mallory's voice and start to take their blindfolds off. And Mallory just calls out and urges them not to take it off. Dude, one of my favorite moments of Sandra Bullock in this movie. Do not take my children. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, that's really where her character starts coming around full circle.
Right, you definitely hear it in her voice, man. Like Bullock, especially lately, she's been very understated as an actress. Besides what was it, Ocean's 8. Hated that movie. If you haven't seen it already, check out Gravity. As technically awesome as that movie is, she is awesome in that movie, man. And she's by herself the entire movie. She does desperation very well. She's awesome. I love her.
And Miss Congeniality.
And Demolition Man.
She's so cute in Demolition Man. She is adorable in Demolition Man. She cracks me up.
Well, you didn't want to... Did you miss the part where she does the hunka chunka with Stallone?
Yeah, the
hunka chunka.
The simulated kind. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Mallory finds Boy. Boy says girl is scared of Mallory. And Mallory apologizes for stopping Tom's story and tells them the conclusion of Tom's story. He saw the birds. He saw them together. She has so much she wants to show them. And then you get the shot of like girl coming over to Mallory. It's touching, man. And, all three of their performances are fantastic. This is a really great finale. Great way to end it.
I like it because the girl is like, well, both these voices sound so similar. I don't really know who's who. And the fact that she relates a story that only Mallory would know is the thing that gets me. That's the thing that kind of drives her into walking towards the real Mallory. And I love that the thing that you resent so much that you think is going to like warp their minds and like, ruin them and think about all this, think about this life they're never going to have is ultimately the thing that you have to use to be like...
That saves them, yeah.
Right, yeah. If it's really me, then I would know the answer to like this. Like, what's this? She's able to relate that. I love that.
For sure. And like, not only that, but like also like hearing the emotion in her voice. Like, this is because she's so detached in the entire movie. Like, she just wants to survive. She wants to do the bare minimum to survive. But like, this is a whole new level, man. Like, that she's being legitimate. And even like, these 5-year-olds can pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So Mallory hears Tom's voice again. They run in the other direction. They're being chased by leaves. And I just wrote, this is legit the happening. Like, this is the happening.
They're being chased by leaves.
Yeah. They find a building and knock on the door, begging for help. And again, man, like, you're kind of hammering home the fact that Mallory's come full circle as a character here because she said, "Take the children," right through the door.
Right. Yeah.
They get their eyes checked. No, go on.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's very like self-sacrificial,
For sure. They get their eyes checked and meet Rick. He tells them to take their blindfolds off, which they do. Kind of maybe being a little too trustworthy there. I don't know about that.
Well, because
like straight away.
Like, are you talking about on her end or their end?
On her end.
Okay, yeah. Because I wonder, like, at first I was like, well, these people aren't putting up a blanket. They aren't doing this. They aren't doing that. I was like, oh, they probably just put a bunch of blind people in. And they have like just a separated room from them. Like, we can tell if this person's infected or not. Like, they have just a shit ton of blind people in there, and maybe a couple of people that could see and like verify if they're infected or not. But yeah, like I guess I get it from a sense of like, at this point, she kind of has to. What are you going to do? Fight your way out? Like you're just going to have to accept the fate as it is right now. You know, fucking take it off. Just rip that Band-Aid off. You know, it's kind of like leap by faith, not by sight, literally.
I guess so. Holy shit! Did you just make that up? That was awesome. You premeditated that shit, didn't you?
Dude, that was actually in the rundown. He literally says that. Like the episode we fucking recorded like an hour ago. he fucking literally says leap by faith, not by sight.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all right, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to that one.
No. They let the birds go, and Dr. Lapham finds Mallory and asks the kids for their names. This I love this. Very touching, man. Fuck me. I wrote in my notes here, malaria names girl. Mallory names girl Olympia after her mother and the boy Tom.
Well,
I am their mother.
Well, where do they end up?
In the blind school.
Yeah,
like
the school for the blind. Yeah.
So I thought you mentioned that already. That's why I went over it. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. There's a little separation from the book and the movie here. Like at one point, they're kind of closing in on Mel in the book, and she threatens to just cut out her own eyes. She's like, I'll just cut out my eyes and just end all this now. And they kind of like back away from her because they want her to see, they want her to accept it. They don't, blind people are like just not useful to them. It's just a non-starter. So they're like, no, we don't want blind people. We don't want blind people. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. And I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of cool.
Jesus. Yeah.
It's fucking dark because apparently in the book, the way this ends is they get into the Institute for the Blind, and a couple people there have cut their eyes out because somebody said that one of the infected people might have gotten into the School of the Blind. But they decided from a filmmaking standpoint, they're like, we've overcome so many hurdles. We've been on this trip, and at the end of this 2-hour-long movie, nobody wants to end on that note. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I think that's a better choice. It's still interesting for the book. The book's always better than the movie. But for the for the movie, I think that I think it's the right choice.
I do think it is the right choice. Like, I do like this ending. I like that it's a bit more of a lighter and a heartwarming ending. And it's kind of more in service of Mallory as a character. Like ending it with I am their mother. It's a pretty good story arc. And it is really kind of touching by the end of it. I was kind of moved, man. Like, I was not expecting Bird Box to move me, but it did. So,
yeah. I do especially love the thing with all the birds. I don't know what it is about that. Like this whole thing seems like I don't know. I got a very have you ever seen The Road with Viggo Mortensen?
No, I want to though.
It's very like The Road, even down to the point of like they find a Coke at one point in The Road, and he shares it with the kid because the kid's never had it. Same thing with the strawberry Pop-Tart. Like it's like a name brand product being used by people never seen it around or anything. But yeah, I just so I mean, what do you think? What are some of your final thoughts here?
I liked it, man. Like I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm glad that you made me watch this and I wasn't just being an asshole and just dismissing this movie, because I hate people that do that, just dismiss movies like out of hand just because they don't, like, on the surface level, don't like how it looks. Like, honestly, just give it a chance. But I'm glad that you made me watch this, man. Like, really, I did think it was a much more personal story than I was expecting. If you take away the horror elements, there's still a pretty damn good story arc with Mallory and the two kids there, man. Like, it's great. It's not as compelling as The Quiet Place. I think that's probably the best movie to describe it to, The Quiet Place, because, obviously you've got the two sort of like senses that are being shut down, and you kind of like have to work around that in a horror context.
Yeah.
And I think The Quiet Place does it a little better and does the horror elements a little better. And maybe I'm trying to the story elements are very similar as well, because in that movie you've got the father and the daughter like has this whole sort of like guilt thing and can't really connect with the father. So you've got that little aspect of it. And I think, to be honest, I think Bird Box hits that element over the head with you a little too much, maybe towards the end. A little too much. But, yeah.
No, I can see that because, like, and I mean, not to cut you off, I'll just jump into my, like, closing thoughts.
I was pretty much done.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, you are done now because I'm talking. No, I'm just kidding. No, but, I do like this movie. The hype was too much. It's not that great. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing Sandra Bullock. I mean, Netflix pulling down a name like Sandra Bullock is a big deal. I thought that was kind of cool, especially with, they're doing fucking like, aren't they doing Velvet, like Chainsaw, the new Jake Gyllenhaal thing with Tony Collette and John Malkovich? Like, I think so.
Really Kane. Yeah, really Kane for that, man.
Really good. But yeah, I give it like a solid 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. The first half is the first half is clunky. I do think they move a little too fast for their own good. They can cut out some stuff, like later on. They do move a little bit too fast for their own good at some parts, and the exposition is a little rough. Charlie's character, like right there at the beginning. But I guess it's some kind of necessary thing. But at the same time, like, I agree with like Charlie explaining to us what these things might be, but the fact that we don't ever see them and we never have any kind of confirmation from it, I think it's more terrifying that it's just open-ended and ambiguous. It's like, well, I don't need to know why zombies are zombies. I just know that they kill people and they eat brains. Like, that's all I really know. So like these things from Bird Box, I think it's more ominous when you have these people saying, oh, it's so beautiful, you should look at it. And it's not like, your worst fear or deepest, darkest secret or biggest regret or whatever. It's just something so horrifying to you that would make you do that. But all in all, I like it pretty well. I think it'll be interesting, seeing how this holds up later on, like as the years go down the road. But I mean, it's worth watching on Netflix if you got it. Fuck it.
It definitely is worth watching. Like that's for sure. Like don't skip past it. I think it definitely is worth watching. If you had to score it, Colin, what would you give it? I think I'd give it maybe a 7.5.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. Thank you for listening, actually. Like, like 3 minutes ago, I literally just said 7 or 7.5.
Sorry, I was Googling.
You fucking cunt.
We've been recording for a solid 5 hours, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, while you were talking about Velvet Buzzsaw, well, next week is my pick. So, we haven't talked about the pick, and I kind of want to tease it already, but I've already picked it. I'm actually kind of confident that you might like it.
Okay.
Nightcrawler.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love Nightcrawler.
Hell yeah. So guys, looks like we got fucking approval. We're covering Nightcrawler next week, so tune in for that. Do you have any other thoughts, Colin?
No, man. I think I'm pretty thoroughly tapped. I think for one thing, I mean, real quickly, like, there's always like a lot of like hidden meanings with this. There's a lot of theories.
Sure.
What is it that drives these people to do stuff? There's theories that it's a
a lot of it is less ambiguous,
right? There's been theories that it's a conversation about mental illness, that we're all kind of like blind to it, and that, the people out there who are suffering from this thing, like, want people to look at it and see it for what it really is. Like, it's not this horrible looking thing. It's actually something that like a lot of people deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. There's obviously a lot of stuff about parenthood, about, the tough choices that parents have to make. And especially dealing with this type of situation. But there's a lot of stuff. There's some cool fan theories and stuff like that out there. I don't really subscribe to any of them. But I do think it's like, what is this movie about? And really, I think it's just kind of about like, I think it's about fear, and I think it's about, the commitment of committing, of just committing to something, of anything, not people, hey, I said I was going to write this thing, or I was going to go to the gym, or I was going to do that. of like being afraid to accomplish your stuff. Because for me, that's a very big fear, is not accomplishing stuff that you set out to do, or doing something half-assed and just kind of stopping it. And I think that's a fear for like a lot of people. And I thought it was interesting with this because, so like the fact that this thing like latches on in that way, and it's your number one fear, but at the same time, there's this whole other undertone of like commitment to the movie, commitment to this guy named Ryan, commitment to Tom, commitment to Olympia to take care of her kid, like all this stuff. There's a woman who wants no responsibility being thrust into like 7 different things of responsibility. So I think it's an interesting kind of like commentary on that as well. And the sacrifices you probably have to make as a parent, or just in your relationships, or whatever it is that you want to be doing. But, I think it says a lot about kind of like commitment issues and things like that. But that's just my 2 cents.
There's one thing that we kind of didn't talk about, and I just want to like throw it in there before we like head off. So Mallory is never in charge of the group. And like that's something that you kind of like come to expect from movies like this. Like if you have a lead character, you kind of like expect them to become like in charge of this like post-apocalyptic survival group, and she's not. Like I think I'd say maybe even Tom is the leader, but like Mallory never becomes like the leader of the group, and I like that it kind of like breaks that trope. But yeah, man, like I there's nothing else that I can like say better than what you just did, because I fully agree. This is the struggle about the parenthood, man. That for some reason, like all of that just hit me. Like it was great, man. And Sandra Bullock really plays this role really well. The 2 children are great. Trevante Rhodes is great. Even the smaller roles, like John Malkovich's character, is fantastic. This is a surprisingly solid movie, and I wasn't expecting it to be this solid. But yeah. But other than that, man, let's plug the socials and get out of here. What do you say, Colin?
Let's do it.
Fucking awesome. Guys, we are Midnight Double Feature. We've got 2 pages on Facebook. You can follow us, our main page, which is Midnight Double Feature. That's where we post all of our official news. And then we've got the after party as well, which is where we post memes and news and basically have cool discussions and things like that. So you can always follow us there as well. And we also have the Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature. We also have the Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. And you can find Midnight Double Feature pretty much anywhere. So we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, basically anywhere where you can stream all the good podcasts, we're basically there. As you just heard, we're covering Nightcrawler next week, so I'm really excited to get into that. Yeah, other than that, man, like it's been a great start to 2019. Things have been moving well for the podcast, moving well for each other, and we're kind of like hunkering down on things, and yeah, this is going to be a great year for Midnight Double Feature. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We had a lot of fun covering Bird Box, and we will see you guys next time.